Well, the weather this summer hasn't been much to write home about, but it has been very good for mushrooms, and this is the perfect time of year for a fungi foray. But mushroom picking is a tricky business. Get it wrong and you could end up in hospital. We've been to meet a global expert who's returned to his native Scotland.
They're a vital part of ecosystems and are the natural recyclers of the planet. At the last count, there were around 18,000 different species of fungi in the UK, 3 times as many as all plants put together. Yet they remain rather mysterious. With a shortage of fungi experts in Scotland, that was until this man returned to work in his native land.
My name is Andy Taylor and I work in the field of fungal ecology, specialising in identification of fungi. I returned to Scotland in March this year to start the job at the Macaulay Institute in Aberdeen, and before that I came back from Sweden, so I've been in Sweden for 11 years.
But Andy hadn't been back long when he made an amazing discovery.
Yeah, I was walking back from the Macaulay down into town, and I noticed this small mushroom growing at the side of the park, and much to my surprise it was something which I did not expect to find there. It's a little bolete with a stem, a cap and tubes rather than gills, and the species name is Bubalinus. It's a very rare fungus in Europe, and then discovered in the UK last year for the first time in September.
But that's not all. Since his arrival back in Scotland, Andy has made several other discoveries.
During just a visit up to Inverness to visit a friend there, we went out for a short walk, and I found a rather old specimen of something which I wasn't quite sure about, and took it back and checked it. And it turns out to be a fungus that's only known from Scandinavia, so that's something new for the UK. People have been very surprised that there are rare fungi, and I've been very surprised because I found something at the Institute that again is very rare. I've only seen it twice before.
So what's going on? Why is Andy stumbling across these very rare fungi?
There has been some suggestion that because of the climate change, that we will be getting new species coming into the country. So there are things happening, because these organisms are very sensitive to environmental conditions, but there's very few people actually have the ability to recognise them, both in the UK and in Scotland in particular. I was rather surprised to find when I got here that there isn't actually a Scottish checklist of fungi. And one of the things I'm really working towards at the moment is to build up that sort of checklist and really to find out what is here. And we now have molecular techniques for identifying fungi in the substrate in which they grow. So we don't need to rely upon the appearance of fruit bodies.
The identification work Andy's doing is all the more important because nowadays lots more of us are going out foraging for fungi.
A lot of it is driven by food for free or wild harvests, and you can have some drawbacks with that because people go out, they learn a little bit, and in this case a little knowledge can be a dangerous thing. One of the most common fungi which is eaten in Scotland is the cantorelles here, and unfortunately there is another one which is very similar, or it's not actually very similar if you know what you're looking for, and that's this one here. And they both are orange, and one of the problems is that people take colour as being a very good character, and if you have them together you can see they're actually quite dissimilar. But if you only come across this one, which is highly poisonous and was involved in a recent poisoning case, then you might wonder whether it's a cantorelle or not. This one, although it's reported as being rare, I think it's actually spreading within Scotland, and I think unfortunately poisoning cases may increase with the spread of this particular fungus. And it really emphasises the fact that you absolutely have to be 100% sure or you just don't eat it.
But wild harvesting aside, why are our fungi so useful?
People don't really realise the importance of fungi in nature. And we're sitting in a forest here, or a wood, and surrounded by trees, and all of these trees rely upon fungi for taking up nutrients from the soil. Everything we see around us in terms of ecosystems would not be here if it wasn't for fungi.
If you are going on a fungi foray this autumn, what you're looking at is a vital component of our ecosystem. And if you're really clever, you might just discover a brand new species.